Get your back hip into it.
And now it's time for football.
Yes, sir.
Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve.
Good.
In cooperation with the Enid Public Schools and the City of Enid, welcome to Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. I'm Steve Keim, along with head coach of the Enid Plainsmen, Steve Hayes. And Coach, good morning, welcome. The Plainsmen are coming off of a district loss to Deer Creek from last Friday night by the score of 38-24. The Plainsmen fall to, or are at 3-3, I should say, on the year, but 1-2 in district play. Coach, right off the bat, you get the ball, go down and score, pass over the middle, and it's a horse race to the finish line, if you will, the goal line, and it's 7-0 just before you even have a chance to sit down in the stands. And then I don't know if it was momentum, but just things changed after that. Why don't you kind of give us your overall thoughts and commentary on the ball game last Friday night?
We had a really great start to the game. The first three offensive plays were very successful. We scored on the fourth play of the game. And then defense came out and did a great job of getting them off the field and got the ball back with a 7-0 lead and an opportunity to go extend that lead. And for some reason, the remainder of the first half, we just found kind of ways offensively to get critical penalties at critical times. We drove down to about their 20-yard line, get a holding penalty, or we convert on a fourth down and get a procedure penalty. And so those things, I think, really affected us scoring more points than we did, which we really should have. We had over 480 yards of offense for the night, which is a good night offensively, but just way too many penalties and errors in that regard that ended up being a kind of our undoing. Defensively, I thought in the third quarter and somewhat of the fourth quarter, we really struggled stopping the run, where we were starting to really get in some momentum offensively, scoring some points and closing the gap, and then they would have a drive where they'd simply hand off and rush down the field in 4 or 5 plays and score. And so it was hard for us to ever close that gap back to get to where we were within striking distance. I was proud of our kids, though. I felt like that they played hard to the very end of the game. I don't feel like they ever gave up all the way to that onside kick that didn't really happen, I guess. And really thought we might have had a chance for another comeback at that point.
Perhaps we could talk a little bit more about the onside kick later on the show today. And, Coach, I agree. For someone being in the stands and sideline watching the game, it was obvious that we could notice the effort that the Plainsmen had, that it didn't diminish at all, even though there was maybe some frustration because of the penalties and the chance to move forward, but yet we could tell after each series there was a lot of commitment, a lot of hard work, and people did not give up. I was going to ask you, I noticed sometimes the weather has an impact on a ball game, and at the start, it seemed like the wind was out of the southeast, around 40 miles per hour. And it seems like, with the opening kickoff, Deer Creek had the wind behind them. So when they were able to throw a 30-yard pass, it was really a 50-yard pass because the wind's carrying it. And there was numerous times when they kicked off, it was way deep in the end zone or even punted the ball. So here in the first quarter, you got Deer Creek capitalizing on that strong wind behind them. Adversely, the Plainsmen are having to kick into a strong wind, throw into a strong wind. Tell us about just that first quarter impact of the strong south breeze. Even though the wind died down later on in the evening, it was a factor first quarter.
It was. I think it was a factor in the kicking game for them, and they were able to kick the ball literally out of the field. It didn't even land in the field of play. He kicked it so far. Honestly, though, as far as throwing the football, we were much more efficient throwing into the wind than we were with it, because like you said, we kept overthrowing our receivers when we had the wind at our back. The ball was always 2 or 3 feet long, which, if the wind wasn't blowing, would have been the case. I felt like into the wind, Mason threw the ball really well, and so that wasn't as much of a factor. But when you're kicking field goals and kicking off, it's a big deal. It really is. You got to get another 10 to 15 yards closer to kick a field goal into that type of wind than you would have to without a wind, and you can kick it another 10 to 15 yards with the wind than you'd have to, and so that definitely came into play.
As a coach and a staff, and team, again, that's just one more factor to I guess, feed into your game plan. knowing that, okay, here's a strong breeze out of the south. And it was more than a breeze. It was the Oklahoma when the wind comes sweeping down the plains.
It was significant.
That was for sure. Yeah. Coach, before the ball game, you and I had just a brief visit before kickoff, and I'd ask you what you were expecting from Deer Creek, and you said, well, they have pretty much a balanced attack. Did it seem to have that balanced attack? There was no surprises for you, correct?
You know, the only thing that they did that kind of caught us off guard was that they did a throwback screen to number 10, which they scored twice on 2 different versions of that play. That's a really good job on their coaching staff's part. It ended up being the margin of victory, that 14-point margin. And I think those 2 plays that were long, big, explosive plays for them were a great job by them of knowing how we were going to line up and attacking it efficiently as a coaching staff. So my hat's off to them. I think offensively we probably should have scored more than we did, kind of our own worst enemy. But really, other than that, very much what we expected and kind of the ball game that we expected it to be. We knew they had good kickers and that they were going to be efficient on offense and that their defense was going to play hard, and they did. They lived up to that expectation.
And Coach, I think you said it's a small world because you have a relationship with the coach there at Deer Creek.
Coach Stanley was an offensive line coach for me for about 6 months at Trinity Christian Academy down in Dallas a few years back, and it was good to see him again. He always does such a good job with his kids and takes good care of his kids, and we had a good visit after the game. And I wish his success wasn't against us this last week, but I'm proud of how he's doing. And
he can have success later on in the year.
That probably is one of the teams in our district that I would root for in a week that we didn't play him, just because I know that he does things right. And he's a good man to work with.
Well, if you were unable to go to Deer Creek last week to see the game, we have the highlights. Coach Hayes' staff is providing us the highlights. And, Coach, I think we have about 8 different plays that we want to show here on the Steve and Steve show here today. And here's your opportunity to do some play-by-play.
Sure.
We see a great pass over the middle for a score. We see a great one-handed catch. We see some defensive plays. So let's see if we can roll the highlights right now. And, again, this is the Plainsmen as they play Deer Creek Antlers last Friday night. Coach, what do we have?
Offensively, it was a very explosive night for us. We had a lot of big plays. Here in the 4th play of the game, we're doing a bootleg. Mason rolls out to his left and throws over the middle to Jared Williams, makes a great catch and run. At that point in time, the play's over. He's not going to get caught from 100 yards out. And so nice start to the game, 7-0. Things are looking good at this point.
There were people still filing into the stands when he's running to the goal line, and it was just it looked like that's the way the play's supposed to work.
Yeah, you're right. And we started the game completing 3 consecutive passes, so we were hot at the beginning.
Yeah.
This particular play here is the bubble screen down here by Deer Creek. Marlowe Hughes does a great job of stepping up and hitting the receiver as he's catching the ball. It's not very much fun for the receiver, but what a big play for us defensively and pretty much ended that drive.
And he makes that look easy because that's really, you're out there on an island by yourself and it's one-on-one, and either you stop him or he keeps on running.
Yeah, we won that battle. That play was for the Plainsmen for sure.
Yeah.
Here we have another defensive play. Augie Pritchett sacks the quarterback on a drop-back pass. A couple of the kids helped finish him up. Brock Anderson's there to help strip the ball. And so we had numerous times, I think, Friday night where we had that. There was just a couple big plays we could eliminate, and I think we'd have been successful. This play here is a scramble by Mason Scrimger. He gets some pressure in the pocket, and Jared does a good job of settling in the open window on the sideline. Makes an incredible catch where it looks like he climbs a ladder to get up there and get the ball. Gets a big first down for us up to midfield. Really impressive to see in person. I happened to be standing right behind him when he made that catch. It was closest to me or you, and I thought I was going to get a chance to catch the ball, and he snagged it out of the air.
I mentioned to my wife, I said, that's an ESPN highlight right there.
Yeah,
that's a great one-handed catch.
He had a couple Friday night, and that was one of them.
Well, we have a few more. We just roll through these.
Here defensively, Roy Crawford does a good job defending the edge, tackles a back for a loss, and he's done that all year long. He's really been very effective on any outside plays that have been run towards him. Does a good job of not getting hooked. Good football player. Here in play action pass, we got Jared running a chair route, makes a great diving catch for a first down. It was 3rd and 10 here, and he extends the drive, really lays out on that. To see him get his hands underneath the ball and truly make the play, it was that was like an NFL type extension and catch. It was you don't see that very often. Here's 4th down at about 2. We have a play fake. We run the bubble screen out to Jera, and he does the rest, takes it over the end zone. and gets us back in the ball game there in the second half, and begins to whittle down the lead that Deer Creek had on us at that point, and makes it a competitive game again. Here, the last 2 minutes of the game, we're running an out route with a post underneath. Caleb Chambers makes a great cut. Their DB loses them. Mason gets him the ball on the 1 yard line. He finishes it, pulls us within 38-24. Next play is when we kicked that onside kick that we recovered, but we didn't recover. Then thought we were kind of having a chance to be back in the game.
Okay. Very good.
Yep. It's some big plays. Had a lot of big plays, both offensively and defensively. Just couldn't put enough of them together to get the W.
Well, again, the final score: Deer Creek 38, the Enid Plainsmen 24. Big district game. We've got another big district game coming up that we're going to talk about here in a few moments.
Very big game.
We need to take this time out, Coach, and meet some of the members of the Enid Plainsman team, and also make way for our student athlete that'll join us here on the set in just a moment. Thank you for joining us for Plainsmen Football 2017. Let's take this time out and meet some other members of the Plainsmen football team.
Marley Hughes, number 26, running back and defensive back, class of 2018.
Augie Pritchett, 50, defensive end, 2018.
My name is Damian Lerman, number 13, play receiver and corner, class of 2020.
Sebastian America, 84, I receiver and corner, sophomore.
All right, Will Phillips, number 1, running back, DB, class of 2019.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. Again, welcome to the student athlete segment. This week, our student athlete of the week is Brock Anderson, number 48. And Brock, welcome to the Enid Television Network studios. Welcome to the Coaches Show. And thanks for being here. And Coach Hayes has got a few questions for you. So here's the lightning round, right, Coach?
Sure,
with all the questions.
Yeah, it's great to have Brock here. He is definitely an off-season warrior. He's one of the hardest-working kids in both the weight room and on the field. His number improvements by far are the best that we've had with any athlete in our program this past year, as far as 40-time vertical jump, squat, bench, power clean. Just really has had a lot of success because he comes to work hard every day, and really is a testament to how much you can improve physically if you're willing to show up and do the time and take the time to do that hard work. And so we're really excited to have Brock on the show today. Brock actually moved to us at the beginning of his junior year, halfway through his sophomore year. Went through the offseason with us. He was at a small school I think it's east of here in Cimarron.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Cimarron, Oklahoma. And moved in here to want to go to bigger high school. And his dad had grown up here in Enid and played for Enid High School as well, and wanted to be a part of what was going on here. So we were real grateful to be able to get him a year and a half ago, and he's really been a tremendous addition to our program. And so, Brock, welcome to the show. We'll kind of go through kind of the same program question format that we normally do. And Brock, I want you to talk a little bit about specifically for you. I've mentioned already, but what did you do in off season, and how much did you improve, and what were some of the things that you think were important as far as your work this off season?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I showed up every day, didn't miss any opportunities to not get better, and make sure I was on time every day, and make other people accountable too, like if they needed rides, or just make sure us as a team were there, try to get as many people there as possible, and tried to make the football camps I went to on the weekends and not so much on the days we were training. Yep.
And
so
you did a good job. As a matter of fact, Brock put his number on the whiteboard in the locker room, so if anybody needed a ride, they could call him. And he was a huge help in getting kids there that potentially wouldn't have been there because they didn't have a ride. Just shows you what a good teammate he was. Brock's getting some recruiting attention from schools like Northwest Oklahoma State as a byproduct of his camps and his improvement. And share a little bit about how much you've improved in your different measurables.
Well, since last year, I've grown an inch and maintained the weight that I had last year. It's just I gained a lot more muscle, and lost a lot more fat, so I've gotten a lot faster with that. And my 40 time's gone down. Last year I was running like a 5.1, and this year it's a 4.75, 4.79, right in there. So I've gotten a lot faster.
Really improved your vertical jump as well.
Yeah, last year I jumped to 32, 33, and then this year was a 35.
Yeah, that's an outstanding number. That's an exception. That's like NFL Combine type number for the linebacker position. And then as far as your squat and power clean, how those numbers improved?
My squat's gone up quite a bit. Last year was like 415, 420, and then so this year I was slowly getting up, going up by 20 each month or two, and then finally hit the 500 milestone, which is pretty cool. That was
a pretty exciting day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And then also on power cleaning last year, it was 225, and Coach Hayes and Coach Jake Hayes, Coach Smith, they all told me it was all my form, that I had the power.
Yep.
I just needed to drop lower to catch it, and I finally got 315 up now. So
90-pound improvement on power clean. Power clean 315. That's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive, and it's because he works so hard. He's a beast in there.
Now, Coach, you're looking at me like I can relate to that, and I appreciate that compliment, which I can. So,
for sure. All right, Brock. What do we need to do defensively to be successful for the last third of the season?
Well, from what Coach Young has said and what everybody's seen on film, defensively we should stop the run big time versus Lawton and Stillwater, because that's what they love to do, especially Lawton.
Yes, you're right. That's big weeks for run stopping these next 2 weeks. Good point. Very good point. Now, you're at football a lot. I mean, you're at the field house a lot. You're lifting or working out. But what are some other things that you do that you like to do besides working out and playing football?
I think just about every Saturday after the lift, I'll either go home and go hang out with my grandpa, or I'll go fishing, and so it's pretty fun.
Did you catch any fish this weekend?
Not this weekend. No, I didn't.
All right. You pretty good fisherman?
Yeah.
Where do you go? When
gotten
you go?
better. I go to Salt Lake.
Okay.
And Salt Fork River, so it's pretty fun.
Really, Brock, he just wants to know where's the secret place.
That's right.
You're going.
That's right. I always
He kind of
people
leads
say
you
they
in.
fish. I always say, where do you fish?
Yeah.
You're a senior this year, and so you'll graduate in May. What are your plans after graduation?
Well, I was kind of looking at football, and it would be something fun I wanted to do, but also something that's been taking my interest is engineering, and so I really wanted to go to OSU for engineering. That'd be fun, and major in psychology too.
There you go.
So.
That's pretty awesome, bro. I can see you being very good at that.
Engineering psychology sounds very serious, right?
Yeah.
Well, Brock, there's emphasis besides the X's and O. There's a lot of emphasis on character with MDAL. Again, integrity, mental toughness, discipline, accountability, and love one another. My question to you is, what role has this character development played in your personal life?
I feel like it's really got me ready for life playing football. I feel like it's one of the best decisions I've made in my life, and it's just discipline all around, showing up every day, putting in the work, and just accountable for your actions. And our coaches really put that out there, so I feel like it's really prepared me for life's lessons and challenges ahead.
And Coach, I think you agree that's the end result, because even though we're playing football, or you're practicing, or you're dealing with these student athletes each day, you're developing character, but it's all that platform for real life stuff down the road after high school ball.
You know, Brock is such a great example because he didn't play football before he came to Enid High School, and so he's only played football these last season and a half, and has done a fantastic job for us both as a defensive end and linebacker. But the reason he's been able to do that in such a short amount of time is because of commitment and dedication. The willingness to do the work, to do it consistently, and to not back down. And so we're proud of Brock. He's really a testament of what a person can do if they put their mind to it.
Very good. Brock, thanks for joining us today. We wish you well the rest of the year.
Yes, sir.
So, our special student athlete for this week, Brock Anderson, number 48, linebacker for the Enid Plainsmen. So, hope you enjoyed that in segment. We continue to bring Coach Hayes continues to bring the student athletes each week. That way you can be introduced to some of the players on the Plainsman team. Well, we need to take another time out, and now this is the opportunity where we can meet assistant coaches, and we'll be back right after this.
My name is Sean Smith. I coach the offensive line and am the run game coordinator. I teach physical education now this year, and my favorite movie would have to be anything Will Ferrell. We have a good relationship with our coaches doing Step Brothers quotes on the sideline, so that's definitely got to be up there. My most influential person would have to be Coach Jerry Kill. He was my college coach. He's from Cheney, Kansas, about 30 minutes from my hometown. And he's just been probably one of the most positive guys I've ever been around in dealing with adversity. He fought through multiple rounds of cancer. He has epilepsy. I've seen him have seizures on the sideline. And the man just comes to work and puts his job and his family over everybody or over himself. And that's just probably been one of the biggest influences I've ever had in my life. Hi, my name is Weston McGill. I coach linebackers for the football team. I teach basic computers at the high school. My favorite book is The Leadership Challenge, and my most influential person is Byron Pudwell, who coached me at the high school level.
Thank you for staying with us for Plainsmen Football 2017. We move into the Chalk Talk segment. Coach, number one topic for Chalk Talk today is the onside kick. In the fourth quarter, you had the opportunity for the onside kick, and as you said earlier, it seemed like for a moment it was Plainsman ball, but it didn't turn out that way. My question to you, besides getting the ball back because you got to score again.
Now,
How does the onside kick fit into your game plan, even though it may be a last-minute call?
Well, there we had to get the possessions. We needed 2 more possessions to win the game, and at that point in time, we didn't.
Because there's not enough time on the clock, so we
were out of timeouts, and there wasn't enough time on the clock for our defense to be able to stop them and get us the ball back, and so we were down to that critical play, and we actually possessed the onside kick past 10 yards. Which, those parameters, it was a legal recovery. The National Federation of High School Football rules are different than the NCAA. And so one of the things that's peculiar about their onside rules, and they claim it's to protect the team that's receiving it from getting injured, is that you can't do 2 things. Number one, you can't drive the ball directly into the ground and cause a high pop-up. And so they had a discussion as to whether or not we had done that, which we hadn't, because that's what it looked like. The other thing that you can't do is you can't recover an onside kick until it has hit the ground, which is kind of a paradoxical rule in that it's got to hit the ground first, but if you drive it immediately into the ground to touch it on the ground and it goes high up in the air, that's illegal as well. And so we had practiced it leading up to that point over the last 4 weeks by bouncing it to that sideline to Jarrah. Well, when we came in, one of their players stayed a little bit wide, and the kicker, in his mind, said, the only way I can get it there is to drop it over that guy. And so he altered his kick, and instead of bouncing it over there, he put some air underneath it. It was a beautiful, accurate kick. Wow, what a play. Jarrah went up and caught it, but by rule, it never touched the ground, and therefore the officials took the recovery away from us. And they had a long discussion about it. They originally called it catch interference, because you can't interfere with somebody trying to catch a football on the receiving team. And in reality, that wasn't the case either. Jarrah didn't interfere with the kid's opportunity to catch it. He just jumped higher than the kid and caught it before it ever got to him. But because it hadn't touched the ground, it was an illegal kick.
To be honest, I don't know how you keep up with all the rule changes because, back in the olden days, you could call a fair catch kind of deal. You could just kick it in the air for 10 yards and run underneath it and just keep on trucking if you caught it, It just...
When you can't advance it anymore. And, to Creed Skidmore's credit, he recognized what it was going to take to be successful in that circumstance and tried to create that successful opportunity, not realizing that it was outside the parameter of the rules and the way that we'd practiced it.
Coach, let me ask you this in regard to onside kick. Is there ever a pre-game discussion with the referees to say, hey, this is something that we do. This is be on the lookout. This is part of our game plan, our forte.
Absolutely.
So heads up, refs.
Well, and you have a conversation with them about any potential trick plays that they might inadvertently whistle dead early. Things to look for from the opponent. Lots of interesting things that you potentially talk about based on what you saw in video, and onside kicks are definitely one of them. 2 weeks ago when we played Choctaw, they have a variety of kicks where a lot of times they're offsides, and so we discussed with the officials, please watch for that, and they actually called them offsides on one of their kickoffs because we saw that.
Coach, when is that designated time to have that visit with the referees?
It's usually about 30 minutes prior to kickoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is that designated time.
Yep. They come and you visit with them one-on-one. You meet the staff and you meet the guy that's going to be on your sideline.
Okay.
And kind of visit about
Very good.
And each officiating crew enforces the rules differently.
Sure.
They define holding differently, believe it or not, and so they'll come and clarify that. Some officials will only call holding if it's at the point of attack, which I prefer, because that had an impact on the outcome of the play. Then you'll have other officiating crews that will call holding everywhere. It had no impact on the play. To me, if it didn't affect the outcome of the play, let the kids play and don't get too actively involved in the game. Those type of things.
Well, our second topic on Chalk Talk today deals with Booster Club. Coach, I have a sign in my yard, and there's other individuals across the Enid community that has a sign in their yard, a Booster Club sign. It says something like Enid Football. How do you get a sign in your yard?
When I first got here 3 years ago, we created an official Booster Club with bylaws, something that there was no literature for prior to getting here, and it has elective officers. They're very active in raising support for the program, and you become a member of that Booster Club for as little as $25, and you get a T-shirt and a yard sign. And that shows, the fact that you have one in your yard shows that you're a great supporter of us, and we appreciate that. And I think it's encouraging the kids to drive through the communities and to see all the people out there that really do support. Our membership this year is a record. It's the most that we've ever had, and it's continuing to grow each week. And we're real proud and grateful for the parents that do all the hard work getting people signed up.
Coach, how does someone get a hold of a sign, or how do they become a member of the Booster Club? Do you have a phone number that's committed to memory?
Right now, the best way to do that is to email me at schayes, Hayes, at enidk12.org, and maybe we can run it on the screen at some point in time.
We can do that.
schayes at enidk12.org, and I'll get them in contact with the people I need to talk to.
Well, I think it sends a great message to the community and also to the student athletes about of support. And you see this in all communities across Oklahoma. My child is a Plainsmen football player, or whatever the term is. So it's exciting to see those signs.
It's a very good thing. It's made a big difference for our team and our program. Okay.
Well, that's our Chalk Talk segment for today. We need to take another time out, and let's meet more members of Plainsmen football.
Matthew Clark, number 8. I play wide receiver and corner, class of 2019.
My name is Troy Herrera. I'm number 54. I play linebacker, sophomore year.
My name is Ivy Mays. I'm number 44. I play linebacker, and I'm a senior.
Trey Phoenix, 28, wide receiver, sophomore.
My name is Preacher Alec, number 71. Defensive lineman, class of 2018.
Well, Coach, another quick 30 minutes. It's amazing how quick when we talk about high school football. I'd like to remind everybody of the remaining schedule that's taking place for the Plainsmen schedule. More district games coming up. And also I'd like to remind you that the airing times for Plainsmen football on the Enid Television Network. Take a look at those times as well, and share that information with everybody, because we want family, friends, and community to be able to watch the show and support our athletes. So that's the remaining schedule, and also the airing times. Lawton Wolverine comes to town Friday night for another district game. Coach, in just a matter of seconds, what's Lawton going to bring?
Well, as always, they're very athletic. They're very well coached. Will be by far our toughest opponent thus far this season. And really be a measuring stick for us. And, I haven't beaten them since 1974, and so really a chance for our kids to leave a legacy. They're excited about playing this week and excited about the opportunity.
Lawton had a big win last week over Stillwater, so yes, it will be a nice, as you said, measuring stick on where we're at. So, Coach, thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and appreciate Brock being with us today. Brock Anderson. Coach Hayes, thank you very much. Have a good game Friday night.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for Plainsmen Football 2017. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid. Until next week, make it a great day.
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve on ETN.
What?